The best salespeople in the world are the ones who do it without you even noticing. Everyone's a salesperson, especially if you're an entrepreneur. In the I'm Not Salesy podcast, join me, Cassie McKenzie, and my fabulous guests as we dive into the top strategies, mindset, and energetics around sales and money so that you can hear more, yes, I'm in, instead of crickets or getting ghosted. So if you're ready to fully book out your programs with aligned AF clients and have people chasing you down in your inbox, asking how to work with you, then subscribe to this podcast today and become not salesy too. Yay! Oh my God, I'm so excited for this conversation. One of my faves is on the podcast. So I have Sarah Buckland on the podcast today on I'm Not Salesy. Welcome back to another episode. And we are bringing in some like big dick energy into this podcast for sure.
Oh yeah.
Big sales energy, the big, we're going for $1 million sales here and talking
Yeah.
a lot about this. And Sarah, I love Sarah's background because it's very similar to mine, where, we were closing, millions in sales all year long. And like, it was no big deal. You know what I mean? And because it isn't any big deal. And Sarah, Sarah and I had an IG live that we did a couple weeks, like last week, maybe. It feels like forever ago, but it was only probably last week because so much has happened since then. Um, and so welcome to the podcast, because that was such a fun conversation. I was like, we have to continue this.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on here. Like we chatted on our live. We
Yeah.
easily went over an hour and we could
Yeah.
have gone for another 2. So and it was all potent. If you haven't caught that live yet, it was all really juicy stuff and lessons from our time in sales. So I already know that this episode is going to be juicy.
It is. And I can't wait to dive in. So, we covered a lot about tactics, I feel like, on the live, and experiences that we've had. And like before hopping on, I said to Sarah, I was like we talked about in that live, sales is not hard, but a lot of it, like you can take the steps to make sales, but most of it is that mental game. And that's a mental game, whether you're playing in the, here's my $199 offer, or you're playing into the selling $10,000, like 401k packages, or you're heading into multiple 6 figures in income and sales in your business, not even necessarily having to be a coach, like being in any kind of industry where have like uncapped income. And so what I want to talk about, with the main character energy queen here, is this whole idea of like any strategy that you have is not going to work if you're not in your main character energy, right? So
Yeah.
can you riff a little bit on what led you to start teaching, um, to start teaching people about main character energy, because she's doing not only a Bali retreat about recalibrating yourself, right? But also a live event in London, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
And, I really want to get into this topic because it's something that people don't always talk about.
Yes.
Mhm.
So it came about from my own personal journey, because when I first started out with sales coaching and mentoring, I was all about the strategy, come from the sales background. So I was very much like, say this, post this, do this, build your business in this way, product suite, marketing, content. It was all the things, which is what I knew. But they got to a point where I wasn't living in alignment with my best life at that
No.
point. I was living in the UK. We'd had like a long, depressing lockdown. And so you get into the routine of showing up every day, and you big yourself up to try and be the kind of happy person. But behind the scenes, I was like, this isn't me. Because before COVID, I'd just come back from a year and a half traveling around the world.
Yeah.
So that pandemic felt like someone had cut my wings off. So even though I
Yeah.
was building something that I really loved, and I could see the longevity and it excited me and I was passionate about it, I still wasn't living, like, my dream was independence. It was to be able to travel. It was to be able to go wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted, on my own terms.
Yeah.
So I wasn't doing that. So I kind of didn't feel like I was living in alignment with my own core values. And it got to a point where there was such friction that I was like, I know I'm not showing up in my best self. No,
Hmm.
maybe nobody else can tell, but I can see certain reels where I know that that smile is fake
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
just putting it on. I don't want to feel like I'm just putting it on. So it got to a point of me booking the one-way flight and just being like, right, bollocks to it. I'm going to Bali. I will figure it out. I don't know if it's going to work. I've never traveled with the business, but I have to try. And
Yeah.
so booked my one-way flight. And immediately I was showing up on video, like no makeup on, and just so happy to be somewhere else that I
Yeah.
started getting loads of comments like, Sarah, you're glowing. Sarah, your energy is different. Oh my God, like we love watching you. It's infectious watching you. And I wasn't really selling. I wasn't really like talking about my offers. I wasn't, saying what was coming up. I was just literally living my best life in my
Wow.
first month. And I was noticing how much people gravitated towards me because of that. And
Yeah.
I'm not even selling. And yeah, I've got my following was growing, my email list was growing. I'd got people saying, how can I work with you? People signing up
Mm.
for low ticket offers. And I wasn't even talking about anything.
Yeah.
And then I'd had my brand shoots, and my confidence just continued to skyrocket. And I really got to see then how I started, changing my messaging a little bit to be like, see all the things that are happening, and I'm not really selling. This is how I'm showing up differently. I'm in my best energy. And so people want to work with me.
Yeah.
And it kind of just evolved from there and just snowballed because the bigger and happier and true to myself I showed up, and the more confident and happy I was, the easier sales became.
Right.
So my highest ticket offers, or my highest priced offers, or the most number of clients, or like the highest price clients, it all just started happening. And it was happening a lot easier than when I'd been not living in alignment and not my happiest self, but just try on the strategy side. So
Hmm.
it was a good culture shock for me to be like, strategy alone will not sell your offers. If you're not bringing your best self to the front, people can tell. People can see your energy and they can read it a mile off. But when you're in your best energy and you've looked after yourself, you put your own needs first, you prioritize what makes you the happiest version of you, then come and sell from that space.
Yeah.
Not feeding everybody else, pouring your cup around everybody else, serving yourself last, and then trying to sell from that place. No,
Yeah.
it's what
Yeah.
a lot of people do.
It so is, but I feel like also, I feel like also, because when I heard the term main character energy, to me, like a lot of people might interpret it as something else that you do. You go do your like get into your main character energy every day, or have, because like there's a lot of mentors that talk about your daily process for wealth embodiment,
Mhm.
and or like the movement that you do before you do anything else, or don't look at your phone first thing in the morning. But like your ass could have been sitting there in Bali in bed looking at your phone first thing in the morning and still been in your main character energy, because it's something you allow in for yourself,
Yeah, yeah.
from what I'm
The
interpreting it.
more, the more that I've prioritized like my vision, my values, what makes me happy, the more that that's evolved. So
Yeah.
people have watched this whole new, level of me come out. And I'll just be dancing to myself erotically in the mirror, and I'll put dancing videos of me in my, like the fishnet tights on the business account and call it marketing. And
Yeah.
like, all
I
of this
love it.
stuff that the me at home wouldn't have done, but this new main character energy that I'm like, I thought I was unapologetic as fuck back then. Now, good God.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you're
so
like, not the
we've
corporate.
gone into little bits so that you can, because people have said to me before, how do you get into your main character energy? And I'm like, I mean, it comes from you working in alignment with your goals and what makes you happy. But yes, there are certain things that I do in the morning
Yeah.
that make me the happiest little person in Bali on my moped every
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I always had to use a Gojek. Like that's like Uber for yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise I would end up like a very hurt person on a moped in Bali. Didn't
I've said
quite
this
have
before. I wish that there was like an inserted camera that you could see inside my helmet,
yeah.
because it would just be me singing along, just like do, 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 do.
Well, maybe you need to do that. Get a GoPro for yourself.
Polycam. Yeah.
I love it. We'll get the Sarah cam and get that going.
Yeah.
Um, but okay. So naturally, my first thought goes to people who, like, there could be a couple situations. Like, I know you serve mainly coaches, right? Like, you're a coach for coaches, and I serve coaches. And now I'm like pivoting into people who are selling, like, like the corporate entrepreneur, you know what I mean? Where you're selling, things on behalf of a company, maybe uncapped income, where you could make $1 million in sales and walk away with several $100,000 in the bank. Or you could
Mhm.
make $500,000 in sales and walk around with like 80,000, like where we might get to
Yeah.
this plateau, or not know how to get through it, right? And so in any of these situations, you might have a client who has a day job that they hate,
Mm.
that maybe um or they're working with people and it's a temporary situation because they have this vision of going full time in
Mhm.
their business. Or maybe you're out there, it could be the type of person who has kind of fallen out of love with the products they're selling, or
Yeah.
disconnected from that, like that motivation that was there when they first started selling in this whatever industry that they're selling. Let's just go with like 401k sales or wealth management or financial
Yeah.
planners. And so maybe there's these people who want to get into the main character energy, but there's these major things they have to do every day that are kind of like a stopping point, or not. I guess it's like a gap in allowing that energy to flow. I'm reading
Mm.
this book called The Energy Codes, and it looks at blocks differently, as like it's not a block in your energy, it's mainly like the bridge isn't built yet, from point A
Yeah.
to point B in that little thing. So anyway, um, so how would you coach somebody like that into getting into, finding that spark again? Because I see it as like a spark that then carries you through the
Yeah.
day. But also, if you're new at this and you're on a 9 a.m. conference call with a manager that sucks the life out of you, doesn't listen, like talks over everybody and is like, holy, like completely unmotivating to the sales force. Like I recently got off a call like that. And I was like sitting there as a coach thinking about it so differently. Like, holy shit, this guy has no idea how unmotivated the people are.
Yeah.
So,
God.
what would you recommend for these types of people to find that main character energy again?
I think it's definitely different for the people who, for their sales, are reliant on showing up on social media versus the people who are in employment or have got a manager. Because
Yeah.
if you're using social media and your sales are reliant on the energy that you bring to the table,
Yeah.
because it's not just about the words that you're saying, because words, a lot of other people will put such emphasis on your words that you're saying, but if you're showing up on video, that's only 7% of the total
Yeah.
communication that someone's receiving. So
Mhm.
if 93% of what they're getting, you could have the best language in the world, but if your body language is saying, I don't believe in this product, or
Yeah.
I'm not sure that this will give you the transformation that is coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it will, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Or you've fallen out of love with who your ideal client is. And so
Mhm.
you're trying to sell, but actually you don't want to sign that person because they don't light you up anymore. We're
Yeah.
going to see that in your energy.
Mm.
It's in your body language. It's in how you're holding yourself. It's just screaming. And so
Yeah.
for those people, try and pinpoint, where is the friction coming from? Is it that you've fallen out of love with your offer? Is it that you've outgrown your ideal clients? Is it that you don't believe, you're not 100% on the transformation yet? And so then we need to step back and get clearer on, so that you can fall in love with the offer. Because
Right.
trying to sell something that you don't believe in,
Mhm.
it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Whereas for the people who aren't using social media but have got to get into their best energy to, to get through the day, I'd say a combination of
Yeah, like
movement,
for a
like
sales call and things, or even like just to start
yeah.
making that first taking that first action. Like I remember when I was kind of like, "Nah, I don't really like what," like I was like, I'm not, there were days where you wake up and you're like, the data's fucked. Like my accounts don't want to, I'm getting kicked out of these accounts. Like they don't want to see me. I'd rather go shopping. Can I go to happy hour? It's like noon. You know what I mean? But you can't do that every day. You can't do that every day and
No.
expect to make sales, even if you are a coach too.
No,
So,
I think, but listen to your body. Like,
yeah,
are you wanting to take a break because you're just like, nah, I could slack off, and it's, the
yeah,
easy route rather than moving through the hard thing?
yeah,
Or are you actually at a point where you've gone past, you're pushing yourself and actually taking a break would be more productive than just
yeah.
carrying on working for the sake of it?
Right. Yeah. So, like, for those you were starting to say when I so rudely interrupted out of my excitement,
Ah, don't worry.
like for those that are slacking off, or the ones that are getting in that. I remember I said in one of the groups we were in about like the only difference between a rut and a grave is how deep the hole is and how long you spent building it. Right. And so I feel like for people who are in that rut, like the sales rut, and you're like, oh, I got to get out of here
Yeah.
somehow. But it's like, you know, I think this is where the main character energy is the missing piece.
Yeah, it really is. And I've been through plateau seasons myself, and you just get stuck in the kind of everything feels the same. You know that something has got to break, something needs to change, but you're not sure which piece of the puzzle it is. So you want to change everything,
Yeah.
and you're never going to be able to test everything at once. So which bit
Yeah.
do you start with? And then you just look at social media to see Becky with the good hair absolutely smashing it, and you're just like, oh my God, you're ready to throw your phone and laptop out the window. I
Yeah.
get it. We've been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. 100%.
But I think combination of like, where are your real USPs in those moments, especially if you're having a dark time or just a really crap time? First, you've got to go back to what your real goals are. Like, where do you see yourself?
Yeah.
Even if you're far away from what that point looks like right now, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years' time? Are you taking steps in alignment with that, even if it's just small steps?
Mhm.
Are you also getting around people who are further ahead of you on that journey?
Yeah.
Like me at the time when I was in that plateau season, I was looking around and I was like, I really want to be around inspirational speakers because I didn't feel inspired. So I wanted to get
Ah,
around people who were inspiring. And I was literally journaling in a book. And the question inside this book was, who are your favorite inspirational speakers? And I just looked at it blankly and I was like, I don't know. And I was
yeah.
like, well, there's your first question, Sarah. How can you be inspired by you don't even know what you're looking for?
Right.
So that was a good wake-up call of how do you know where you're going if you literally don't know where you're going?
Yeah, exactly.
Like get clear on the direction. And that's when I started looking into people who inspire me, like Mel Robbins, Tony Robbins, and these people who were just being themselves, but this maybe was where main character energy were born because
Yeah.
they were inspiring to listen to, motivational. And I felt like even though I was learning from them, I could see parts of me in them. So my main character started to be built by the people that I was inspired by. So
Yeah.
even if you're in a bit of a plateau season, what
Yeah.
are your strengths and qualities that you already have? What are
Mhm.
you working with right now that
Right.
other people in your industry don't have? Your
Right.
uniqueness, your attributes, your USPs. And then what is the direction you're going in? Get
Right.
clear on that. Even if you can just take the smallest little step, it's going to make you feel a lot better because you're living in alignment. You're at least moving one small step forward in that direction.
Yes. And one of the things that Tony always says is change your state and change your
Mm,
outcomes. And so this I feel like you were starting to say about movement, that that's the first place you would go for,
yeah.
connecting with this main character energy. So for like somebody who's then, figured out what's inspiring them, where they're going to go in 5 to 10 years, they've connected to the vision, and now the piece, like that's why I'm getting breathwork certified or I've been in a breathwork year-long membership, and now I'm getting my certification because I want to add this to my sales coaching, because that's a lot of the embodiment and shifting the energy really quickly too. And
Yeah.
also, I kind of uh, almost broke my leg and had to sit on the couch, so I'm like, okay, what can I do where I don't have to dance around? I can hop on one leg and do tree pose, but like that's about it.
Yeah. You're like, I'm gonna upskill.
But I'm getting in on the movement soon. But yeah, for like people who didn't decide to be roller skating Barbie and drink tequila and like break their ass on Halloween, like what kind of movement would you start with, and then where would you go with?
For me, I really feel music. And
Hmm.
so this will be often when I've done my workout in the morning, I'll put on something that is like that is going to heighten my mood. Sometimes
Yeah.
that's more pop, sometimes it's more rock, sometimes it's more upbeat, or like I have a playlist called Beast Mode.
Yeah.
That gets stuff done. But it means that when like I've released those initial endorphins,
Yeah.
then I'll put on whatever playlist is like feel good factor.
Yeah.
It might be my Villanera playlist. It might just be Taylor Swift pop songs, but I'll be dancing around my bathroom, just having a good time, pretending like I'm having a performance, but it's just for myself.
Yeah.
Like, and just really, because when you sing and when you move, like when you release sound, there's
Yeah.
other good endorphins that come from that. So combination of moving your body and getting some, the exercise endorphins,
Yeah.
but also releasing sound and just singing for yourself is another way of releasing some happy chemicals.
Yeah.
So if you can squeeze that into your morning, if you get
Mhm.
time where like no one's home and you can just start singing to yourself, do it.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it. Yeah. And okay,
You can
so
combine all of those things and do them in the shower, shower performance, go for it.
My 6-year-old, ever since she was 3, I don't know if this is such a great, like, mom, like, showcases me as a mom or my mother's style, but one of her favorite songs has been, Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball, and she loves to get in the shower and sing at the top of her lungs, the Wrecking Ball song.
Oh my God.
And it
I love
cracks
that.
me up. Like, some little kids are singing, like, Elsa, like, Let It Go, and she's like, she just goes off, and it's so cute. It's so cute.
Oh,
But, like, I get in this discussion with my husband a lot, like, especially in the morning, like, he'll put on, like, depressing music, or, like, I don't know, like, not depressing, but, like, I call it depressing because 'cause I'm with you. I mean, I lived in Atlanta, like, the home of hip hop and R&B for, like, 12 years, so Ludacris
mm.
is great for me, you know what I
Oh
mean?
my
Like,
God, I listen to Ludacris all the
yeah,
time.
I'm like, that's my go-to. Um,
Yeah.
but, like, but what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, he puts on, like, like, sort of Mumford& and Sons, but a little more morose Mumford& and Sons type music, like,
Yeah.
the kinda, like, slow banjo music, and I'm like, "No, we can't. Nope, 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 nope. I woke up here, and I'm not going down here, like, no way,
Yeah.
like, get this off."
Like mellow, like chill. That's like
Yeah.
end of day music.
Yes. Yes, 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 that's what I'll tell him. You can use that JBL speaker at the end of the day. But you were talking about your villain era, and can you go into that? Like, what is the villain era? I'm so curious.
Villanera was main character energy that carried on evolving.
Ooh.
It just snowballed. So God knows what season 3 looks like.
Uh-oh.
We went through main character energy and it was all like high vibe, high energy, lots of big smiles and just a really, really happy time. And the level of confidence and my business was like really, really taking off. And it just felt like the best chapter I'd ever been in. And I stopped really cushioning or, letting any of the soft bits fly anymore. There's a mosquito that's flying around me.
Oh,
Welcome to Boston. I
he's a real
just
villain.
yeah, both in like my content and who I was being and what I was available for, all of it just got such a level of we are leveling up. Everything is leveling up. Like
Mhm.
there's things and people and standards that I'm not available for anymore. And where I might have been like a bit nicer or softer about it. Like, I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
And like, if that makes me a bad person, well, so be it. But here's how the new version of me is going to go.
Yeah.
Like, I talk about being unapologetic. Here are the new standards. Here are the boundaries. Here's who exactly I'm for. And if you're this, this, and this, cool, love that for you, but I'm not the mentor for you.
Right. Right. Oh, I
So
love it.
just a real
Yeah.
level of like separating so that I'm just really making my mark clear. Um, it just comes with such a level of clarity
Yeah.
that I didn't need to be like the happy, smiley person all the time, because I can be like, "Wujum, we're here." And
Yeah.
it's almost like a quiet fire.
Oh,
Like, it doesn't need to be the loud, outspoken one. It's the one who comes into the room, doesn't say a word, but you feel her power.
yeah.
It's that kind of, you feel the energy without her even being the, because I've also been the person that like makes such a physical, expression in the room that I whack lampshades and I'm just like, woohoo.
Yeah. I love
I
it.
feel with Villanera, it's a lot more like bring it down. And it's the little head tilt down,
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah.
quite so like, ee, ee. It's
Yeah.
got that kind of Disney villain of like high cheekbones, powerful eyes, the Angelina Jolie look where it's just like, boom,
Yeah.
intentionality.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, it's like the difference between Victoria's Secret's pink and Victoria's Secret
Yes.
angel.
Yes, the night and day.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that. That's so good because it really illustrates like you were able to find, like, really connect to who you were as the main character energy, and
Mm,
then swipping, like, getting, I see the villain era as like just like really deepening into your like self-respect and
yeah,
confidence there, and
yeah.
I
So it's still
love
the
the
same me, but it's like
Mhm.
a fun person that I can switch into either when I need to
Yeah.
be serious or when I'm like dancing on what is playful, but also holding you to a higher standard.
Yeah.
It can be humorous, but it can also be very, we need to have a chat.
Yeah. Oh, like the come to Jesus meeting for sure. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And well, and when it comes to sales, that's so necessary because when I was when like we talked about on the live, when I started out, I focused a lot on relationships. And I remember you told me the story about how you won that big account because of your ability to sit and listen to the guy who was what do you call it? Like, you were asking the guy genuinely from a genuinely curious standpoint about his business, and then ended up landing, it was like a $10,000 client, and everybody was so like shocked, right? Because you're the new girl. And so, and I remember starting off and being told to focus on relationships, and then throughout my career, my accounts or my managers were always like, "You have the best relationships with your accounts. They just love you." But then some of them would assume that that's all I did. And, you've got to leverage the relationships too. Like there's that piece too, because you can get friend zoned if
Mm,
you're too nice all the time. And if you get friend zoned, you're not going to be the one making the sale. That's when your competitor is going to come in. If you're in in a sales role, if you're a coach, that's when people are going to be liking and saying, "Hi, you're so inspiring," but
mm,
going and buying from somebody else, and so when it comes to sales, I feel like you need to have the duality of both, where you're like, yeah, I'm going to listen to you and hear you and be there and be present, but also I'm going to ask for the business and I'm going to come over, like unapologetically sell. And I'm going to, when you're I'm not going to people please in my content. I'm not going to people please in this, in this sales situation or like the sales call or sale in the DM, and be like, or even price things based off what you think people will pay versus what you actually want to get paid for your time.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%. It's like flows through all areas of the business.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. So, where do you like? Like, what's the most interesting story you have about this villain era piece and how it's helped you either make a sale or,
Ooh.
like, up level a current client, where a current client was, like, on the fence, maybe not signing, but then you, like, dipped into your villain era and you're like,
Yeah.
"And, now you're a client for life."
I'd say it was definitely it was around the time where I went to a dance class. I was posting more content saying what I'm available for and what I'm not available for, but it was around the time where I went to a sensual dance
Mm,
floor work class. And it was my first time there, but they were having a bit of a marketing event. They wanted to bring more people to the class. So they said, wear your sexy lingerie. We're going to dip the lights down low. There's going to be Prosecco's and a videographer. We're going to make a whole routine out of this. And I was
wow.
like, I grew up in the days of Britney and Christina. Like this was going to be my Christina Dirty music video moment. I was like, I am claiming this. We're going to go all out. This is going to be my music video moment.
Yeah.
So we learned the routine. We had a few times through, and then we'd got like time for everyone in the class to do one run through with the videographer. And it's literally lights down low with two spotlights and then two red strobe lights. So it's all the right colors. And
Yeah.
you I think I'd got the fishnet tights, little bikini top. And I was like, right, you're only getting one run through. So we're going to make this incredible and just go for it.
Yes, love it.
Went for it, and then I like asked someone to film it on my phone. And when I saw the video footage back, like I knew I'd been working out, like working on myself. But when you see yourself back in, different costume, being this person who, like Eminem says, you've only got one shot, one
Yeah.
opportunity. And
Yeah.
I was seeing this woman who was just leaving nothing left, like
Yeah.
so unapologetic, so in her power, so loved every part of her body, which is not who I've been in previous versions of myself.
Mhm.
And I was like, this version of me, if she can do that, there's nothing she can't do.
Yeah.
So there was that level of empowerment. And I came back and I'd got a mastermind call, like with my own mastermind that evening. And I was like, girls, before we get onto the business content, can I just show you this? And I put together a fun little reel, not even to share it, but it was a reel of me when I was in the UK, where I was about 2 dress sizes bigger,
Oh, wow.
just dancing a little bit like with a frumpy face. You can see that I'm miserable. And it goes like
Oh,
how
no.
how it started and then flips into how it's going. And it's literally me in fishnets flipping around the floor. And I was like, girls, I just put this, for a little bit of fun. What do you think? And they were like, you have to share that. You didn't put that together for fun. You didn't put it together for your own use. You put that together because that needs to be seen by the world. And I was like, oh. And so there was the moment of sharing it, thinking, God, this is my business account. This isn't sales marketing. Here's how to structure your post. This is literally me in underwear about to share this to my audience. Like, how is this going to be received? People have not seen this side of me. I've not even seen this side of me before. But people loved it. I was
Mhm.
quite nervous, like, oh, this is going to be ballsy. But my audience is like majority women anyway. And it was straight away, it was all like fire emojis, capital letters. Oh
I
my
love
God, Sarah. And I know a few people left around that time as well. So for some people, for some women, that will have been too much, and that's absolutely fine. But for
Yeah.
others, they were like, oh my God, like love that for you. Like I would aspire to do that, or I want to be able to get there one day. I'm
Yeah.
on the journey to loving myself. And yeah, so there was that moment of like, right, here's who I'm becoming.
Yeah.
And you kind of forget how many people can see social media,
Yeah.
because there was other people that came into my audience seemingly way after that, but obviously people can go back and binge,
Yeah.
who applied for my group program or a mastermind. And I'd say, like, what was it that drew your attention? And they were like, I'm a farm girl, I'm not the girl in Bali, but I love that for you. And you're so in your power when you do that, that I want to work with you.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like, we live very different lives, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But when I saw that video of you, it says she's in her power and I want to be around someone like that. So I was like, whoa, me and my fishnets are signing clients.
Yeah. I know, I think you need a fishnet video for your Bali retreat.
Imagine. Oh my
Maybe you
God.
could take them to the fishnet class
I
on the
know.
Bali retreat.
Ooh.
That would be fun.
It taps into a whole new level of main character energy, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's like, pack your fishnets. This is gonna get
Yeah.
weird in the best way.
It's about to get sexy up in here.
That's right. I love it. Oh, it's so true though. Like when I don't know, I feel like like when I started my sales career, it was like I just followed what other people said to do, you know? And I just never even thought, oh, this isn't gonna work. Like it had to work or else I was gonna end up being fired or lose this great opportunity or whatever. And then, but it wasn't until like later on learning about all this stuff that I realized how much that embodiment played a part where it was like, no, I'm doing this, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it. But then also being able to show up just purely myself, as like the dorky person with braces at 22 and like I wore petite suits, like so they were like really ill-fitting. They did not fit well because I have long legs. But then
I've been
I
there with the suits, I
remember
get
like
it.
what?
I've
Huh?
been there with the suits, I get it.
I know. I'm like, I thought petite meant you were still short, but I'm like, whatever. But like, I remember though finding like having that moment where I started to see like the real like person inside of me because I had been like shut down like my whole life, but in a way where it's like be the good girl. And so
Yeah.
when I went into a job in Atlanta, like I took a territory to become a trainer there. And my coworker, though, she was like 7 years older than me, but she was like the best, like personal, like life coach mentor before like life coaches were really a thing. And she didn't even mean to be, but she'd take me shopping. And I was like, we ended up being like best friends and like the Bobbsey twins, or whatever, because I was like, I'd never seen a flat iron before. I'd never had hair highlights before. It was like this huge makeover, but it made such a difference in how
It
I
really
felt,
is.
about myself and the confidence going in and selling even more. And so, um,
Yeah.
it's so important to, especially as an entrepreneur, to honor that part of you too,
Yeah.
because all of the shadows start to come out, like all of the little kinks about, you're your own boss and it can be a lot for people, especially being on social media and having the balls to share something like that. Like I love that for you. I love it. It's so
Yeah.
awesome.
It really does. And those little things, especially if you can bring little things that are your confidence boosters
Yeah.
into your morning,
Yeah.
whether it's my friend who she had a psychology master's and she used to call it I think it was like the red nail trick or something like that. And it was if you've got your nails done, you might put like eyeliner instead of or as well as mascara. And then once you put your eyeliner on, you want to put a red lip on. And then once you put a red lip on, you want to do your hair a little bit different. And then when you've done your hair a little bit different, you want to dress a bit nicer because you've done
Yeah.
all the rest of the effort. And
Yeah.
it's how, like one little thing can often trigger you doing a little bit more nice things to get yourself like, oh, well, I'll just do that and I'll just do that. And by the end, you're in your like most power because
Hmm.
you're like dressing in the clothes that you love and you've styled your hair in the way that you love and
Yeah.
you're then much more able to show up as your best self
Yeah.
because of those little micro decisions that you took in the morning. So like me and Bali, as it's wet season here, I often want to just wear as little as possible.
Yeah. I get that.
I often want to just show up in a bikini.
Yeah.
Do I try and find clothing? Yes, I try. I don't do it very well, but I will try and find some clothing.
Yeah.
But if I was to just show up in my chilling stuff or my gym stuff, I would have a different level of productivity.
Yeah.
But and if I would just lay by the pool and I'd got greasy hair shoved up in a bun by my head,
Yeah.
I would show up differently than the person who's like washed her hair, put her clothes on, put her red lip on, and is ready to get shit done today.
So true. I mean, for some people, like the rock shirt works, but like, I know for me, it definitely makes a difference when I feel like I've got my uniform on, you know,
Mhm.
or like the workout clothes are for the back office stuff, you know, but
Yeah.
definitely not. And I know for some people, the workout stuff works for them too, but I don't know. As I'm getting older, the gray hair is coming in more. So that's like, it's that I notice like when I get my hair like fixed, then I'm always like it makes such a huge difference in my
Yeah,
confidence level and everything like that. So you're
yeah.
100% right about you're like spot on about all of that. But
That's
all
a
like it's
life
these
hack
little
that I've discovered. If you're
yeah,
going through a launch or, if you've got a new program, new membership, new high ticket offer, go to the salon and get your hair did because
yeah,
the confidence boost
yeah.
massively improves your launch.
It sure does. It really does. It's such a huge thing because you feel like hot shit, you know, like
Yeah.
you feel
Same with
like a
getting your nails
celebrity.
done. It gives you new
Hmm.
power. The new nails
Yeah.
power.
It does, 100%. It's like the best investment.
It is. It's necessary self-care
Yeah,
during a launch anyway. And if you're gonna
yeah,
get a whole new, your batteries have just been recharged and you're
yeah,
just like, oh, she's here now.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, it's so true. And, like a lot of people feel or think that these big sales results are gonna come from a giant change or some massive breakthrough, which sometimes it does, right? But those massive breakthroughs often come with like this either a burst of energy, which I've seen before, or the moment where you're like, "Yo, okay, I need to like reshuffle a few things and then go." You know what I mean? Like reorganize, let the dust settle. Um
Mm.
and then take off. And then you know what I mean? It's like slow down to speed up kind of vibe, but not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
not quit to speed up.
yeah, exactly.
That little
Sometimes your main character energy needs to
yeah,
calm down and rest a little bit.
yeah, yeah. And so but really, it's a combination of a lot of these little micro shifts, right? These little
Yeah,
micro changes that have happened within you, and that these little micro decisions that you make on a daily basis that bring out,
yeah.
you know, that main
And one of the
character.
best things to come from that is since learning quite how much my own energy has an impact, not just on my own happiness, and health to get through the business each day and to show up as my best
Yeah.
self and, to grow the business. But now that I'm aware of that, I'm far more mindful as to who I give my energy to.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Like, if there's something that is either, a conversation that's going to be draining, or I find a people or person draining,
Mhm.
I distance myself from that now because I'm like,
Yeah.
my energy is my most precious thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is what I'm looking after. And if you're not helping that, then we can't be friends. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, once I went back and I was like, what do I was doing the exercise what like once a quarter, like what am I really spending my time doing? Like am I doing my income producing activities? Am I doing like my sales things? Working with the clients, like how many hours am I spending? And I was like, I noticed, I was like, what am I doing for like 6 hours a day? But like there was a lot there that was the energy, like the continuous checking in or like not checking in
Mm,
of like where's my sales results, but more like shifting the energy or like protecting your energy or energy man, whether it's breath work or like the dancing, like that's part of your job. Like you're basically getting paid to dance for a half hour every morning, like that's one of the
100%.
things to check off the list, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And my
So
favorite thing, because my evening will be US morning.
yeah.
So if I get US clients buying, master classes or signing up to
Mhm.
mini minds or things, that'll happen during while I'm asleep. So I get to wake up being like, woohoo,
Yeah.
and that will be the start of my main character energy because I'm just like, I literally made money while I was asleep last night.
Yeah.
What a world to live
It's
in.
so beautiful. I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, Sarah, can you tell everybody where to come? Can tell everybody about like where to find you, and we'll put the links in the show notes because this has been so amazing. I feel like we need to have it be like a routine thing. Like maybe we need our own sales show. I don't know.
Thank you so
I love it.
much. So Sarah Buckland Coaching, Instagram is my main home, but you'll also find me on TikTok and LinkedIn. And so come have a little dabble on
Yeah.
Instagram's like the best place. That's where like
Yeah.
the best content comes through.
Yes.
And where you'll find me, so I'll be in Bali until April. May I'll be in the Seychelles. Then I go back to the
Ooh,
UK. Oh, I come to LA in April. I'm like all over the place.
yeah.
Yeah, let's come hang out on social media.
What are you going to LA for?
I'm actually going on a 2-day retreat
Oh,
uh,
fun.
in in the Hollywood Hills. It's my first
Ooh,
time in the US as an adult. So
oh my
excited for
God.
that.
Beautiful. I love the Hollywood Hills. I love
Be
LA.
like,
I lived in San
I'll
Diego
literally be
for a
like a
while.
kid, like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, there's these ladies that sit at the end of the street and they sell these paper maps for like $20 where it shows where all the celebrities' homes are. And I remember,
No way.
yeah, we used to have like sales meetings in LA and I would always like take all the new reps and be like, who wants to take one of the cars? Let's go see all like where Britney Spears lives. I'm like, here's where Britney is, there's where Leo lives. Like I was
Oh
like
my God,
so on it,
amazing.
so obsessed, like next
I
level.
think the coach whose retreat I'm going on lives in the Beverly Hills somewhere. So gonna get to be around there and just see it all. So it's a 2-day retreat, but I think I'll come for like a week or so, or maybe a
For
little bit
sure.
longer, just to get to see a bit more of LA.
Yeah. Yeah, and go down to San Diego, and it's so beautiful. There's so much to do there. There's so much. So we can touch base about that. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
So awesome to
Thank
have you on
you.
the
Thanks for
podcast.
inviting me.
I know, I'm so excited. And y'all go follow Sarah. And if you feel like taking a trip to Bali and having your life completely changed, go to her retreat in Bali. And or if you're in the London area, go check out her event that she's having in April, because that'll be a great one to go to too. So, all
Thank
right.
you so
Well,
much, Cassie.
thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you. And I will see you all next week. Bye. If you loved this episode of I'm Not Salesy, then go ahead and hit subscribe so that you're notified of the next episode. And also leave a 5-star rating and a review. And if you send it to the link in the show notes, we will send you a present in return. We also love to feature reviews on the podcast as well. So we'd love to feature yours. So go ahead and send a screenshot to the inbox and come find me on social media. I love hearing what you're up to and how you're becoming not salesy too. I'll see you in the next episode.